My name's Ellen. I'm 31, and I existed in a sleek, modern house in Westlake, just outside Austin, Texas. Look, I won't pretty this up. I said something awful, truly stupid, and now my husband, Alex, who's 37, is gone, vanished. And I have this sickening pit in my stomach telling me he's not walking back through that minimalist glass door ever again. It all blew up over dinner, or the lack thereof. Pathetic, right? Alex came home late, the usual exhaustion etched onto his face. He pulls insane hours at some flashy fintech startup downtown, making the kind of money that meant I didn't have to work. I guess homemaker was the technical term, but I always hated it. Conjured images of aprons and baking, which is so not me. I was more about maintaining, me. Keeping up with fashion, the latest skincare, scrolling through endless reels for interior design inspo that I'd bookmark and forget. Things that added a little sparkle to the suburban quiet. Anyway, the fight, it ignited because the kitchen was spotless, devoid of cooking smells. I'd had a surprisingly taxing day, a deep dive into a TikTok rabbit hole about celebrity conspiracy theories, followed by a true crime documentary binge. By 6 p.m., cooking felt like climbing Everest. Ordering in seemed logical. We had the money, didn't we? But Alex walked in, took one look at the empty counters, and his face shut down. That look, the tight jaw, the flicker of disappointment mixed with sheer weariness. It always scraped my nerves raw. He started quietly, which was almost worse. "You've been home all day, Ellen. The least you could do." Then came the jab about financial contribution, the one he usually kept holstered. It felt cheap. I mean, I managed the house, didn't I? Okay, maybe not scrubbing toilets, but I kept it looking like a magazine spread. Plus, I made sure I looked good for him. Isn't that part of the deal? A wife was polished, presentable, an asset. Maybe I'd been feeling a little insecure lately, a subtle distance from him I couldn't quite pinpoint. Or maybe I was just spoiled and bored. Whatever it was, I snapped. The words were out before I could stop them, venomous and ugly. Maybe if you made as much money as Derek, I wouldn't have to worry about cooking every damn night. We could just eat out whenever we wanted. Derek, my ex, the one with the trust fund and the personality of damp cardboard. Yeah, I went there. The instant the name left my lips, the already dim light in Alex's eyes extinguished completely. He didn't raise his voice, he just stopped. Became unnervingly still, like a statue carved from ice. That quiet scared me more than any shouting match ever could. He stood there for a beat, the air thick with what I'd thrown at him. Then, without a word, he turned and walked out of the kitchen, up the floating staircase. I didn't follow. Stubbornness, maybe? Or cowardice? I figured he'd brood, cool off, and we'd have some stilted conversation later. That was our pattern. But when I went upstairs a couple of hours later, drawn by an unnerving silence, his Rimowa suitcase was open on our perfectly made bed, half filled with his meticulously folded shirts. "What are you doing?" I tried to sound nonchalant, leaning against the doorframe, feigning amusement. "You're not seriously leaving over this, are you?" He didn't even look at me, just kept methodically placing items in the bag. He muttered something, low and gravelly. Can't believe I wasted years trying to make this work. Panic, cold and sharp, finally pierced through my defensiveness. "Alex, wait, I didn't mean it. I was just angry. I said something stupid." He finally paused, straightened up, but still wouldn't meet my eyes. His voice was flat, devoid of emotion. It's not just this one thing, Ellen. It's never just one thing with you. It's everything. You don't appreciate anything I do. You spend money like I have a printing press in the basement. You take nothing seriously. And now, throwing Derek in my face? After everything? I'm done. Done. The word echoed in the cavernous bedroom. Part of me wanted to scream, to rage about how unfair he was, how he was overreacting. But another, smaller part, the part I usually kept locked away, felt a cold knot of guilt tighten in my stomach. Not that I'd ever admit that to him. Sure, the Derek comment was below the belt, but Alex wasn't exactly Mr. Perfect. Always working, always stressed, half the time making me feel like decorative furniture unless I'd messed something up. So yeah, he left, zipped the suitcase, carried it downstairs, got into his Tesla, and the taillights disappeared down the long driveway. No dramatic peel out, just a quiet, final departure. I had no idea where he'd gone. He didn't call, he didn't text, and my pride, that stubborn, stupid pride, wouldn't let me reach out first. Besides, what could I even say? Sorry, I basically called you poor compared to my rich ex? Doesn't exactly scream reconciliation, does it? Now I'm rattling around this huge silent house, filled with expensive furniture that suddenly feels cold and meaningless. Did I screw this up beyond repair? Part of me still bristles, thinking he should have appreciated me more. Then I wouldn't have needed to lash out. But the other part, the part that's starting to get scared, knows I didn't just cross a line. I nuked the whole damn bridge. Not that I'm ready to say that out loud. Am I supposed to fix this? Chase him? Or just let him simmer? It's not like this is entirely my fault. Right? The night Alex walked out bled into a blurry day spent mostly on the couch, replaying the fight, dissecting every word. I wasn't crying. Tears aren't really my style. But there was a persistent nausea, a physical manifestation of the thought. Maybe this time was different. Still, the phone remained untouched. He needed space, I reasoned. He'd be back by morning. Maybe this time was different. Still, the phone remained untouched. He needed space, I reasoned. He always came back. He always came back. Maybe this time was different. When sunrise painted the ridiculously oversized windows pink and his side of the bed remained empty, real anxiety began to claw its way up my throat, not just about him being gone, but about what he was thinking. Alex wasn't impulsive like me. He was an analyst, professionally and personally. I pictured him somewhere, meticulously cataloging every slight, every careless comment, every expensive purchase I justified as an investment. If he started connecting the dots, seeing the pattern I'd always vaguely ignored, I could be in serious trouble. By late afternoon, the silence was unbearable. I called him, straight to voicemail. Tried again an hour later, same result. A curt text message went unanswered. I sat there, staring at my sleek phone, feeling utterly powerless. Another text, wait longer, later. Finally, I settled on a voice note. It felt safer. Maybe hearing my tone, carefully modulated to sound reasonable and slightly contrite, would work. Alex, can we please just talk? I feel like this whole thing got blown way out of proportion. I didn't mean what I said about Derek, honestly. You know I can't stand the guy. The only reason I stayed with him for as long as I did was the money. And even then, he was just awful, arrogant, selfish, just a terrible person. I wasn't trying to hurt you. It just came out wrong. Please come home. Let's talk. The second I hit send, I felt my blood run cold. Bad. Really, really bad. Why did I say that about the money? I was trying to be honest, trying to show him how little Derek actually meant, hoping he'd see the comparison wasn't about him personally. But hearing it back in my head, it sounded exactly like what he'd accused me of. Hours crawled by. Nothing. Then, around 9 p.m., my phone lit up. A text from Alex. It wasn't an olive branch. Thanks for confirming what I've suspected for a while, Ellen. You just use people for what they can give you. Guess I'm no different. It felt like a physical blow. What could I possibly say? He wasn't entirely wrong, was he? But I didn't consciously set out to use him. I loved him. Or I loved the life, the security, the beautiful house. The lines had blurred somewhere along the way. His text painted me as a cold, calculating gold digger, and that stung. It ignited my anger again. I called him immediately. Shockingly, he answered. No hello. Just a cold, clipped, "What do you want, Ellen?" What do I want? I want to fix this, Alex. You're making it sound like I don't care about you at all, and that's not true. Isn't it? His voice was dangerously calm. You literally just admitted, on tape basically, that you used your ex for his money. How am I supposed to believe you're not doing the same damn thing to me? Because it's different, I snapped, losing the carefully constructed composure. You're nothing like Derek. He was a self-absorbed prick who treated me like an accessory. You actually care about me. You're kind. Am I? He shot back, the ice cracking to reveal bitterness beneath. Because from where I'm standing, it feels like all I do is fund your lifestyle while you scroll TikTok and complain that I'm not rich enough. Do you even hear yourself? I floundered. Part of me wanted to list my contributions, the flawless house, my appearance, the social obligations I navigated. But I knew, instinctively, that wasn't the currency he valued. Alex, I said finally, forcing steadiness into my voice. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I've made you feel unappreciated. I truly didn't mean to. But you can't honestly believe I'm only with you for your money. There was a pause. Then, flatly, can't I? Because looking back, Ellen, that's exactly how it looks. And if that's the case, maybe I am wasting my time. That hurt deeply. I wanted to scream, to cry, to throw something. But deep down, that treacherous little voice whispered that he had a point. Had I ever really examined my motives? Derek was rich, so I tolerated his awfulness. Alex was successful, stable, kind. And yes, the stability was undeniably attractive. Did that negate any real affection? Did it make me a user? Alex, please, I pleaded, my voice finally cracking. Don't do this. You're blowing one stupid comment out of proportion. I made a mistake, a huge one. But it doesn't mean I don't love you. Another long silence stretched across the line. For a fleeting, desperate second, I thought I'd reached him. Then his voice, utterly final. I need time to think, Ellen. Real time. Don't call me again. I'll reach out when I'm ready. Click. The dial tone buzzed in my ear. I sat there, phone still pressed to my face, replaying the conversation. The disastrous voice note. The fight. Had I completely torpedoed my marriage? I know I said terrible things. But does one mistake, however awful, erase everything? He wasn't blameless either. The endless work, the emotional distance, the unspoken expectations. Is it so wrong to want more than just being a well-kept housewife in a gilded cage? The following days crawled by in a haze of anxiety and resentment. Alex's silence was a physical weight. One minute, I was furious at him for abandoning me. The next, I was drafting apology texts I couldn't bring myself to send. Being ignored drove me crazy, and the fact that he was the one controlling the situation, making me wait, frayed my last nerve. By day 3, simmering anger boiled over into impulsive action. I drove to his office complex near the Domain. If he wasn't home, he had to be somewhere, right? I couldn't just sit in that mausoleum of a house waiting for him to grant me an audience. I hesitated in the parking garage, the sleek, mirrored building intimidating me. Was this insane? Probably, but the indignation fueled me. I marched into the lobby, all glass and steel, trying to project an aura of belonging. The receptionist eyed my designer handbag and probably too casual outfit with cool appraisal when I asked for Alex. She called up, her expression unreadable. A minute later, it wasn't Alex who emerged from the elevator, but some guy named Ben or Brad from his team, someone I vaguely recognized from a company holiday party. He looked profoundly uncomfortable. Elen? Alex isn't in. He took a few personal days. Personal days? While I was losing my mind, annoyance morphed into a darker suspicion. He wasn't at work. He wasn't home. Where the hell was he? Crashing with a friend? Alex wasn't the type. Too proud. Then the thought, ugly and insidious, slithered into my mind. What if he's with someone else? A woman? I hated myself for thinking it, but his secrecy, his sudden departure, it fed the paranoia. Back home, I poured a generous glass of wine and opened my laptop. His social media was predictably dormant, but his email, Alex, despite working in tech, was ridiculously lax with passwords. Just checking for clues, I told myself, just trying to understand. Logging in felt like crossing another line, but desperation had eroded my scruples, and there it was, an email that made my stomach plummet from a real estate agent. Subject: follow up on your inquiry, apartment tour. My heart hammered against my ribs. I clicked it open. It confirmed an appointment for later that week to view a 1-bedroom apartment downtown. An apartment, not a house, not something for us, just for him. The floor seemed to tilt. He was actually doing it. Looking for a place to live without even telling me? The audacity! I snatched my phone, dialed his number. Voicemail, again. This time, I didn't hold back. So what? You're apartment hunting now? Is this your brilliant solution, Alex? Running away like a coward instead of facing our problems? Call me back. He didn't. Not that night, not the next day. I spent 24 hours oscillating between fury and a sickening dread. I fantasized about crashing that apartment tour, making a scene. But some shred of self-preservation told me it would only make things worse. I tried one more text, aiming for measured, reasonable. Alex, I saw the email about the apartment. Can we please just talk about this? If you're truly this unhappy, I deserve to know why face to face. The reply came the next morning, short and non-committal. Not making decisions yet. Just need space. It wasn't reassuring, but it was contact. Still, the image of him signing a lease, moving out permanently, haunted me. Every attempt I made to fix things seemed to backfire spectacularly. When Alex finally agreed to talk, it wasn't at the house. He texted an address, some trendy coffee shop on South Congress, and a time. Meet him there if I wanted to talk. Weird, but I was past questioning the logistics. I just needed answers. He was already there when I arrived, sitting at a small table in the corner, looking infuriatingly calm, perfectly dressed, composed, like this was just another business meeting. Well, I felt like I hadn't slept in days and was barely holding it together. I slid into the chair opposite him, arms crossed defensively. "Okay, Alex, what's this about you looking at apartments?" I demanded, skipping the pleasantries. He didn't flinch, took a slow sip of his coffee. "It's exactly what it looks like, Ellen. I'm moving out." I stared at him, sure I'd misheard. "You're what?" He leaned back slightly, a flicker of something unreadable in his eyes. Weariness? Resignation? "I've already started the paperwork for the divorce." He paused, letting the words hang in the air. "I spoke to a lawyer weeks ago, actually. Before our fight. Just needed to get things aligned before this conversation." Weeks ago? The air rushed out of my lungs. Divorce. The word sounded foreign, impossible. "Are you kidding me? You're ending our marriage over one stupid argument?" A short, bitter laugh escaped him. "Caroline, this isn't about one argument. Don't pretend it is. This is about years of me pouring everything I had into this, into us, while you just took my money, my energy, my patience. I'm empty, Ellen. I'm done." His words were like bullets, but it was the look in his eyes that truly devastated me. Not anger, not sadness, just finality. He'd made up his mind. The door was closed, locked, bolted. "Don't you dare paint me as the villain here." I hissed, desperation making my voice sharp. "I put up with plenty from you too. The constant work, the checking out, making me feel invisible. And now you're just walking away without even giving us a real chance?" He shook his head slowly, pityingly. "You had chances, Ellen. So many chances. My family tried to warn me, my friends saw it, but I was arrogant. I thought I could fix it, thought love would be enough, thought you'd grow up maybe, but you haven't. And I can't keep setting myself on fire to keep you warm. I'm done sacrificing my own happiness." I opened my mouth to retaliate, but he cut me off, his voice dropping slightly. "And before you ask, yes, there's someone else." That stopped me cold. A wave of heat washed over me. "You're cheating on me?" I spat, louder than I intended. "Don't even try to play the victim," he said, his tone hardening. "You checked out of this marriage emotionally years ago. You've been using me from the start. At least with her, I feel seen, like a person, not just an ATM." Her, the word hung there. "Who is she?" I demanded, the question clawing its way out. "How long?" Alex sighed, looking tired. "Her name is Olivia. She started as a friend. Things only shifted when I finally admitted to myself that this," he gestured vaguely between us, "was well and truly over. She listens, Elen. She supports me. She doesn't make me feel like I constantly fall short." The ground beneath my feet felt like quicksand. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. He wasn't supposed to leave. He wasn't supposed to find someone else. That was my prerogative, wasn't it? The wronged wife finding solace elsewhere? "So what?" I lashed out, grasping for anything to wound him. "You think she's perfect? Just wait. She'll get bored of your work obsession too. She'll realize you're not exactly Prince Charming." He just looked at me, really looked at me then, like he was seeing a stranger, a rather unpleasant one. "I've wasted enough time, Ellen. I'm not doing this anymore." He stood, pulling on his jacket. The papers will be ready next week. You can have the house. I don't care, but I'm out." And just like that, he turned and walked out of the coffee shop, didn't look back. I was left staring at the empty chair, a maelstrom of anger, humiliation, and a terrifyingly unfamiliar emotion swirling inside me. Regret. Cold, hard regret. The worst part, I couldn't even summon the energy to blame him entirely. For years, I'd pushed, prodded, taken him for granted, testing the limits just because I could. I never genuinely believed he'd leave. Now he had, and the wreckage was all mine. Part of me screamed to fight, to change, to prove him wrong. But the other part, the part that saw the finality in his eyes, knew it was utterly, devastatingly too late. Alex was gone, and it was my own damn fault. The divorce was swift, clinically efficient, just like Alex himself. Within a month, it was done. Assets divided, papers signed. I was officially single. He kept his word about the house, which felt like a victory at the time. Now, sitting alone in its cavernous, echoing rooms, it feels like a monument to my failure, a constant, expensive reminder of everything I torched. Those first few weeks were a blur of takeout boxes and too much wine. Nights were the worst, the silence amplifying my loneliness. I'd stare at my phone, hoping for a text, a call, anything to suggest he regretted it. Nothing came. Instead, Instagram tortured me with images of him, laughing, relaxed, genuinely happy in a way I hadn't seen in years. And always she was there, Olivia. Sweet-faced, supportive-looking, probably annoyingly low maintenance. The kind of woman who'd listen intently to his work stories and bake him cookies, probably. Seeing them didn't just spark jealousy, though there was plenty of that. It sparked a sickening realization. He looked free, like shedding our marriage had lifted an immense weight. He could finally breathe. Meanwhile, I felt like I was suffocating. Reality hit hard and fast. The bills kept coming, relentless and unforgiving. The spousal support, which had seemed reasonable on paper, barely covered the mortgage and property taxes on the Westlake monstrosity. My carefully curated lifestyle crumbled. No more spontaneous online shopping sprees. No weekly blowouts or facials. No casual $200 dinners with friends. I started selling things online. Designer bags, shoes, jewelry I suddenly couldn't justify owning. Humiliating doesn't begin to cover it. Even worse, that secret credit card I'd kept for emergencies, read, impulse buys Alex would question, was maxed out, the interest accruing at an alarming rate. I told myself I'd get a job. But doing what? My resume was a joke. A decade-old scattering of retail gigs I barely lasted 3 months in. The idea of starting at the bottom at 31, armed with zero marketable skills beyond knowing the difference between Chanel and Dior, was paralyzing. But the financial panic was almost secondary to the crushing loneliness. For years, Alex had been my constant, my safety net. Even during our worst fights, he was there. Now, the silence wasn't just quiet, it was accusing. Friends? Most were wrapped up in their own families, their own careers. The few who called seemed more interested in the divorce gossip than offering genuine support. I tried dating apps, mostly out of a misguided sense of spite. A few awkward dates confirmed I was nowhere near ready. Every guy seemed either instantly intimidated or creepily interested in my settlement. None of them were Alex. I hated admitting it even to myself. but I missed him. Missed his stupid dad jokes, the way he'd roll his eyes at my spending, but pay the bill anyway. Even missed the low-grade tension that at least signified he cared. One particularly bleak Tuesday night, fueled by cheap Chardonnay, I broke my own rule. I called him. Voicemail, naturally. I left a rambling, tearful message. Alex, I don't know why I'm calling. I guess I wanted to say I'm sorry for everything, for how I treated you. I know I didn't deserve you. I get why you left. I hope you're happy. Really. He never called back. I didn't expect him to. He'd moved on. It was time I tried to do the same, however impossible that felt. It's been 6 months. Alex and Olivia are apparently looking at houses together now. Somewhere sensible, I bet. I've stopped stalking their feeds. It's like poking a bruise. I've been trying to figure out my own next steps, one faltering day at a time. I landed a part-time job folding sweaters at a boutique downtown. It's humbling, often boring, and pays peanuts. Not nearly enough to keep this house. The for sale sign goes up next week. Leaving this place, the only real home I've known, feels like another kind of death. Sometimes, late at night, when the silence is loudest, I let myself wonder, what if? What if I'd appreciated him? What if I'd put in even a fraction of the effort he did? What if I hadn't said that stupid, cruel thing about Derek? But what ifs are pointless luxuries I can no longer afford. This is my reality. Alone, broke, selling off the remnants of a life I didn't value until it was gone. And Alex, he's happy. Genuinely, visibly happy. It's the ultimate irony. I always secretly thought he was the lucky one, that he'd be lost without me. Turns out, I'm the one who can't survive without him. Maybe that's the punchline to this whole sorry joke.